Bad Bunny didn't just bring the heat for the Super Bowl this year, he also brought a massive history lesson. In this video, I'm going to explain to you everything that it represents and everything he was trying to say with his stellar Super Bowl performance. Do me a favor, subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this. Let's get it started. That massive sugarcane field wasn't just a vibe, it was a defiant nod to Puerto Rico's past. See, for centuries, the Caribbean was treated like a giant ATM for European empires. But it is here where two cultures fuse together, making one united culture, the Puerto Rican people that we see today, and a musical sound that tied everything together. When you hear that powerful rhythm of Bomba, you probably think of dance, powerful Puerto Rican culture. But what if I told you that this started as a weapon? And I'm going to tell you exactly how Bad Bunny used this to explain. This is how it all started. And just like Bad Bunny's show, our beginning doesn't start on the stage. No, it begins on the sugar plantations of the 1500s. And back then, Bomba really wasn't an art. It was more of a life and death situation. It was an absolutely critical tool for enslaved Africans fighting for their freedom. Think about this. When the first Africans were forcibly brought to Puerto Rico, they carried something with them that the Spanish colonizers completely underestimated: their knowledge of their drums. And these weren't just for music, they became weaponized communication and a special network. And this is where everything changes. The drums became a voice, a kind of strength, a system that was completely invisible to the Spanish overseers. It was a language spoken entirely in rhythm. So let's be crystal clear about this. This just wasn't random noise to pass the time. It was code, a highly efficient system of sending sensitive, vital information across vastly guarded plantations. Different rhythms carry totally different messages. You know, one beat might signal immediate danger. Another could be a call to gather in a secret spot. A third could be a crucial warning like the overseer is watching you. So what this created was a massive information advantage. It was a complete power shift. The enslaved population knew exactly what was going on, while the Spanish, to them, it was just random drumming by Africans. We use that as a strategy. They heard warnings. They heard calls to action. They're always one step ahead. But you know, a secret that powerful can't last forever. Eventually, the Spanish started to catch on. They realized that this wasn't just entertainment. They saw people gathering. They saw these coordinated movements, and they finally recognized the power behind this rhythm. And their reaction, it was swift, and it was also brutal. They responded with pure fear and suppression, and they outlawed everything. Drumming was banned. Gatherings were broken up. Just playing a drum was punishable by death. They literally went on a campaign to find and destroy every single drum they can get their hands on, trying to cut off this communication for good. But here's the thing. You can break an instrument, but you cannot break a spirit of a people. The culture didn't die, it just went underground and adapted. And their survival strategy was just so brilliant. They rebuilt their drums in a secret way, using everything that Spanish people would just consider everyday items. They used old rum barrels, animal skins, whatever they could find. And they also got strategic about when they played. They would play during thunderstorms, so the sound would be masked, or even camouflaged by the rhythms when Catholic festivals were all noise just blended in the background. But the walls were closing in, with the Spanish watching more closely. Even these clever tricks got riskier. So communication, once again, had to evolve. It had to become something that they can do right in front of their colonizers, something hidden in plain sight. I mean, really think about that for a second. How do you pass a secret message when an enemy is staring right at you, listening for every sound that you make? The answer was pure genius. They hid the message inside the dance itself. And this is really when Bomba, as we know it, began to form. The communication shifted from just a drum to an incredible interaction between the dancer and the drummer. The dancer was now sending a signal, so from the outside, all the Spanish could see was entertainment. You know, slaves dancing and having fun, maybe blowing off a little steam. It looked completely harmless, maybe even beneficial from their point of view. But to the community, it was the exact same coded language, just in a new form. Every single step, turn, lift of the skirt, it all carried meaning. The dancer would make a move and the drummer would interpret it, translating the physical movement right into the rhythm that everyone else understood. It was a whole conversation happening right under their noses. And get this, because this is my favorite part, they used the dance as satire. They watched the Spanish at their own stuffy, formal parties, dancing all awkwardly, and they'd mimic and exaggerate those movements in their own local Bomba circles. It wasn't just resistance, it was comedy, all blended into an amazing act of survival. But the evolution did not stop there. As many Africans escaped from plantations, they fled to the mountains, and there they met the Taino people. These meeting of cultures, well, it created another powerful fusion, and the fusion was just incredible. And you had Africans who brought the core of Bomba, the drums, those coded rhythms, and the undeniable spirit of rebellion. And then the Taino contributed their own instruments like maracas and their own ceremonial movements and storytelling traditions, and together they created this rich, unique Afro-Taino art form that we know today. As the camera follows him through the towering sugarcane, we aren't just seeing a landscape, we are seeing a homecoming. He moves through the rhythmic click of dominoes at a roadside table, a vibrant energy of girls at the nail salon, and the scent of street tacos and shaved ice. These aren't just background extras, they are the DNA of the Puerto Rican spirit. By weaving these icons of street life together, he is visualizing, sampling the same themes of community that defined his 2025 Grammy-winning album. If you saw a pink house in the middle of Levi Stadium, you knew exactly what time it was. Benito brought back his iconic Castilla. This isn't just a prop, it's a symbol of the Puerto Rican countryside that first blew up in his short film. And get this, he took the party to the roof. While Bad Bunny owned the rooftop, the front porch was a total who's who of Hollywood and Latin music. We're talking Cardi B, Karol G, Pedro Pascal, and Jessica Alba, all vibing below him. It was a legendary callback to his San Juan residency, proving that no matter how big the stage, the Castilla always stays open. Just when you thought it couldn't get any bigger, Lady Gaga drops in for a surprise cameo. But check out the backdrop. It is literally rebuilt El Morro on the 50-yard line. For those who don't know, El Morro is a massive 16th century Spanish fort that guards the coast of San Juan. And using this is how you bridge the gap between ancient history and modern legend. Lady Gaga also wore the flower of Puerto Rico as a brooch. This is the show that people are the same. Even though languages do not mix, all we want is love, to see our loved ones grow up and get married. We want to see kids who have dreams of becoming something more than themselves actually be fulfilled. And he's trying to point out the differences between people aren't that great. Yes, we don't speak the same language. Yes, we don't have the same customs, but we all want the same thing for our children and our family. The cameos didn't stop coming with pop stars. In one of the most talked about moments of the night, the legendary Ricky Martin appeared, sitting simply on a white plastic chair tucked away in a grove of banana trees. But don't let the relaxed vibe fool you. This message was meant to be intense. Ricky sang a chorus, and this was the chorus from Benito's 2025 album that tackles the reality of colonization and gentrification. The lyrics are a haunting warning. Don't let go of the flag, because I don't want them to do to you what happened to Hawaii. It was a bold anti-gentrification stand. We then see Benito holding proudly the Puerto Rican flag, but a lot of people don't realize that this one flag holds an incredible, complex, century-long story that's kind of been hidden in plain sight. And the whole story is told through one thing: the color of its blue triangle. So if you look closely, you'll start to notice sometimes you'll see the flag with a light sky blue. Other times it's a really deep navy blue. And then there's a medium royal blue too. So it makes you think, which one of these is the real flag of Puerto Rico? Well, the answer is way more complicated and honestly a lot more interesting than you think. You see, each of these flags have a total legitimacy claim. You got the light blue, which is the revolutionary, original way it came back in 1895. Then you got the dark blue. That one was officially adopted in 1952. And finally, there's the medium blue, which has become the de facto or unofficial standard since 1995. So how did one flag end up with three different colors? Well, for that, we have to go back to the very beginning. Okay, the revolutionary one. This is the banner that was born from a pretty intense struggle of independence. So picture this. The story doesn't even start in Puerto Rico. It starts in New York City in the year 1895. A group of exiled Puerto Rican revolutionaries. They were a part of the Puerto Rican Revolutionary Committee. They all got together to create a brand, a new banner for their dream, which was the total independence of Puerto Rico, free from Spanish rule. And the design they landed on was so symbolic and so powerful. What they did was they took the flag of Cuba, which, by the way, was also fighting its own independence from Spain, and they just inverted the colors. The red triangle became blue. The blue stripes became red. Now, this wasn't just some random design choice. It was a huge statement of solidarity. And the connection, man, it was deep. It was captured perfectly just a couple of years earlier by the poet and revolutionary Lola Rodriguez. She wrote Cuba and Puerto Rican are as two wings on the same bird. These islands really saw their struggles as one and the same. They were fighting for freedom together, and their flags were like visual proof of this bond. Okay, so where does the light blue come from? Well, while the committee's official meeting minutes just say blue, a lot of historians argue that the shades are always intended for it to be a light sky blue. Now, why would you say that? Because the color tied back to even earlier pro-independence flag from a revolution in 1868. So it's just a way of thinking this new banner to have much more deeper history and resistance. So for decades, the revolutionary flag stayed as the unofficial and yet, often forbidden symbol of rebellion. But then, right in the middle of the 20th century, its status just changed. Dramatically, it became the official symbol, but not without pretty good, significant tweak. I mean, you have to understand, for the first half of the 20th century, while under U.S. rule, it was literally a felony to fly this flag in public in Puerto Rico. There were laws like the 1948 gag law that made it a crime to even talk about independence, let alone own a Puerto Rican flag. It was a symbol of rebellion, and the authorities really wanted to stomp it out. Then 1952 rolls around. Puerto Rico's political status has changed. It becomes a commonwealth, and the new government does something pretty stunning. They officially adopted the very flag that had been banned for so long. But, and this is a big but, there was a twist. And here's the final twist. The law crucially just stated blue. It was never specific on what shade. So the new Commonwealth government started to use a dark navy blue for the triangle, a shade that just happened to be identical to the blue on the flag of the United States of America. Think about that. A flag born in solidarity with Cuba was now color matched to the United States, reflecting a whole new political reality for the island. But here's the thing about flags and symbols: their meaning just can't be totally controlled by governments. Even as the official symbol, or the single starred flag, kept on living its own life as a powerful banner both of pride and defiance. The power of this flag is just how adaptable it is. It is a symbol of incredible pride for the famous 65th Infantry fighting in Korea. It was a symbol of fierce defiance when nationalist Lolita LeBron unfurled it inside the U.S. Capitol in 1954. And then in 2016, it was totally transformed into a black and white symbol of protest and mourning against the Federal Financial Oversight Board. From the power outages that happens in Puerto Rico all the time and people not helping and trying to fix it, in the end, Bad Bunny left a message with all of the flags that we've seen, saying that America itself is a nation built of all of these nations combined. And that is what makes America special. Not the fact that it's a piece of land floating in some water on this big, huge rock that we all live on, but it's the people inside of this nation from all over the world that gathered in this one place to try to create a perfect union. And love will always conquer over hate.